What's up, everyone? Welcome to the February 1st edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can find me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, you get one free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at PrizePicks. Be sure to use the code Awesemo to receive a 100% first deposit bonus up to $100. We're going to take a look at 5 of the top tournament options on DraftKings on tonight's slate. As usual, be sure to tune in to the deeper dive and live before lock in the 2 hours leading up until tip for more up-to-date information. We'll have more injury news. We'll have a better idea of exactly how the slate looks. But right now, taking a look at 5 of the top options in tournaments. Starting at number 5, Mo Bamba, $5,300, taking on the Chicago Bulls. Bamba's likely to give you 24 to 28 minutes. He's projected for 5% ownership with a 10% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Bamba's averaged 1.04 DraftKings points per minute this season. He gives you a high ceiling because while he's not a high usage option, he does offer plenty of block upside. There's some volatility in his playing time as well. So he's at a price point right now where he projects for 5 to 5.5 times his salary, but certainly can go for a lot more in any given game. Number 4 is Zach Levine on the other side of that game, taking on the Orlando Magic. Levine's $8,800 with shooting guard and small forward eligibility. He's averaged about 1.16 DraftKings points per minute this season, only projected for 5% ownership with an 11% chance of being in the optimal lineup. It's always difficult to pinpoint which of the main players on Chicago is going to do well. But one thing that stands out on DraftKings in Levine's favor is that Nikola Vucevic is only a center. DeMar DeRozan's only a power forward. You can roster Levine at shooting guard or small forward. So you get way more roster spots where you can utilize Levine, and he's still a very high upside option, basically on par with those other 2 stars on his team. Number 3, Nick Claxton, $4,100, center only, projected for 6% ownership, 11% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Claxton's averaged 0.93 DraftKings points per minute this season. He only played about 17 or 18 minutes in his last game where he did start, but LaMarcus Aldridge is also out tonight. There's a couple of ways this rotation could go. You could just get Claxton still playing 18 minutes. You get Day'Ron Sharpe back in the rotation, and Blake Griffin remains in the rotation, and Claxton ends up not looking that good. But you could also see Claxton pick up an extra 6 to 10 minutes and play 24 to 28 minutes or so, assuming he starts again. And all that would need to happen is that Day'Ron Sharpe either still doesn't play or Sharpe comes back and Griffin plays less minutes than he did last game. Either of those things are pretty likely as well, especially if Claxton is playing well himself. So there's plenty of upside for him at a pretty cheap salary. Number 2, James Harden is now probable for tonight's game. He's $11,000, point guard only on DraftKings, projected for 12% ownership with a 16% chance of being in the optimal lineup. His salary has fallen a bit as a result of Kyrie Irving being in the lineup the last couple of games. Irving will be available again tonight with the game being in Phoenix, but Harden has still averaged 1.5 DraftKings points per minute in games without Durant and with Irving since the start of last season, about 1.35 DraftKings points per minute in the 4 games that they have played under those conditions so far this year. So you still get a very high ceiling for Harden at relatively low ownership. If you have him in lineups and he does happen to get ruled out, which isn't looking likely at the moment, it's very easy to swap to Kyrie and then upgrade other pieces of your lineup. And number 1, Anthony Edwards, $8,500, shooting guard, small forward eligible, currently projected for 12% ownership with a 17% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Edwards has averaged 1.07 DraftKings points per minute so far this season, but you've seen a pretty big difference in his production with and without D'Angelo Russell on the floor. Russell not expected to play tonight. With Russell on the floor this year, Edwards has averaged 1 DraftKings point per minute. Without him on the floor, Edwards is at 1.23 DraftKings points per minute. That doesn't take Karl Anthony Towns into account, so the true gap is probably a little bit smaller than those numbers, but you can expect increased production from Edwards without Russell tonight. So to recap, the top 5 tournament options on DraftKings as things stand right now: number 5, Mo Bamba; number 4, Zach Levine; number 3, Nick Claxton; number 2, James Harden; and number 1, Anthony Edwards.